is up, my fellow nerds? Alrighty. Currently in Wisconsin at the moment. Waiting to get my turn to back up into a door, and then gonna take this load on down to good old Missouri. I don't mind. This is gonna be kind of a good trip. It's about just under 700 miles, so it's not bad. You know? Alright, so let's see, my book. Alright. So let's see, so I used a paper clip to mark where I was, so that way I can start up again. Out, there we go. Alright, so we've got I'm gonna just continue going through list of titles, authors, series, and whatnot. We've got Chloe Neal, mostly known for me for the Chicagoland Vampire series. Good series, not bad. Not a big fan of the audiobooks, to be honest. I don't think the narrator did as good of a job as she could have, in all honesty. Then we've got Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children by Ransom Riggs. This is one of those cases where the movie has parts that are better than the book, but it's not that high of a bar. I'm sorry, the book wasn't too impressive. The movie was slightly less impressive, so I'm not a big fan of it. Sea of Trolls trilogy by Nancy Farmer. It was interesting. Kind of had like multiple fairy tales kind of going on inspiration wise, but it was still kind of interesting. You'll find it in the children's section. The Alex Rider series by Anthony Horowitz. Another book came out that I haven't read yet. It came out a couple years ago, I think, and I never read it. So I'm incomplete on the series, but what little I did read was really good. They actually did a movie about it, and I think there's a TV show now. I don't know, but it was a really good book series. Novelization of the Underworld series. Really interesting. Definitely. Like I said, I think I said last video, novelizations are pretty good because kind of like the director's cut. You know, you get more information. You also have the novelization of the Grimm series. I don't know if any of you guys remember, but Grimm was a TV show that was on, I think it finished back in 2013. It ran for like 6 or 7 seasons. It was really good. I really loved the show. And the novelizations and the books that are pretty good. Some of them are, separate stories of what goes on. So it was really kind of nice to get those stories in between. Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. I prefer the movie. I think the movie did a better job, which is The 13th Warrior, for those of you who don't know. The 13th Warrior starring Antonio Banderas. That is based on Eaters of the Dead by Michael Crichton. And I think this is a case of where the movie is better than the book. Young Samurai series by Chris Bradford. I didn't finish it. I think I got like 4 books in, I want to say. Not bad, but it's definitely one of those cases where I don't know like how historically accurate it is, but I think it's definitely a case where he's trying to make the samurai like the greatest warriors that ever lived, kind of a thing. The Five Ancestors series by Jeff Stone, really interesting. And I'm probably going to do a video about the parents in that series, because bad parenting. Let's just say that. The King Arthur novelization by Frank Thompson. This is the 2004 movie starring Keira Knightley and what's his name? It's oh God, come on! I know who he is. Come on, he's a pretty popular actor. Shit, I cannot remember his name. Shit, but it had Keira Knightley in it. I remember that explicitly. But I love the movie. Like, I don't care what anyone says. I thought that was a great King Arthur movie. Definitely an interesting, interesting take. Definitely not historically accurate, I would say, but definitely more so than other portrayals. Kathleen, The Celtic Knot by Siobhan Parkinson. I'm gonna have to look this up. I don't remember. I must have read it because I wrote it down, but I'm gonna have to look this up and try to remember this book because right now it's just slipping on my mind. You know, like I don't remember. Oh, no. I know what this is. It was a really good book. Probably one of the few on this list that's not a fantasy or anything like that. It was about a girl who lived in Ireland, and she learned to dance, and she was learning how to do traditional Irish dance. It was a really good book. I really enjoyed it. And I'm usually not one for realistic books like that. Then we've got Shakespeare. I've read several of his works. My personal favorite is A Midsummer Night's Dream. I think that one's just one of the best, mostly because it's not as tragic as the others. Lady of the Forest by Jennifer Robertson. Cannot think of that one. Once again, I got some of these I've only read once, and I'm gonna have to reread some of these. The Winter King by Bernard Cornwell. The King Making by Helen Hollick. I'm going to have to re-look up some of these books. They probably are books I've read once and I enjoyed, and then I just thought of them, and then I think now for some reason my brain just is like forgetting all about them. I'm kind of tired. I didn't really sleep much last night, or really yesterday. So it's like I'm kind of tired, so maybe that's it. I've also been eating poorly today. I had some cereal and some peanut butter M&Ms, so probably not really helping my mental faculties at the moment. The Assassins of Temurin by S.D. Tower. This was a great book. I remember this one real well. That was a really good book. And you kind of feel for the villain. This is one of those where you're kind of sympathetic to the villain, but at the same time, you know she needs to lose. Eddie's Blue-Winged Dragon by C.S. Adler. That one was kind of interesting because it was a case of it had a dragon in it, but I never knew if the dragon was real. It was one of those kind of things, one of those scenarios. The Giver by Lois Lowry. I actually didn't mind the movie. I thought that the movie was good. I definitely agree with some of the changes that they did, and I thought the acting was okay. So, I like it. Storm Thief by Chris Wooding. I remember this one. Definitely an interesting premise. Going into it a little bit. It takes place on this island, kind of a city island, and it is plagued by these things called what's called probability storms. And what ends up happening is instead of rain, you have this I forget how it's described. It's like a rainbow mist, I think. I can't remember how it's described, but basically you have these probability storms that go through, and it changes things. Anything that is theoretically possible can happen. You have a character who gets hit by the storm, and she's right-handed. All of a sudden, she's left-handed. Or you have one case where the storm goes through, and it literally flips the city completely 180 degrees. So what was on the left is now on the right. What was on the west side is now on the east. So it was a really interesting premise. I really enjoyed it. The Goats by Brock Cole. This one, it's one of those more realistic books, and it's a book where it's kind of really kind of like a powerful messaging kind of a book, Oh My Gods by Tara Lynn Childs. This one was okay, kind of an interesting take on Greek mythology in modern day. So it wasn't bad. It also kind of was okay. I could see it as a fucking low budget CW show. I could definitely see it like that. Jessica's Guide to Dating on the Dark Side by Beth Fantasky. Love that last name, Fantasky. Interesting take on vampires. Interesting take on vampires. There's a sequel to it that I never read. I'm thinking. I have thought about reading it, but I don't know. I don't know. Just I like the first one, but not enough to really like be invested in it. You know. Ooh, Ilona Andrews. Oh my God, a wonderful author. Oh my God, wonderful author. Absolutely love her. Absolutely. Oh my God, she is so good. She has the for some reason, not Charlie Davidson. No, not Charlie Davidson. It's fuck. I can't think of names right now. But oh my God, absolutely wonderful author. It's actually a husband and wife duo. I think the last. So I can't remember like who's who, but you know it's a husband and wife duo who writes these books. Wonderful books. Ilona Andrews, Ilona Andrews. Okay, look them up. You won't regret it. Really good. The Sword and the Miracle by Melvin Bragg. Kind of a historical fiction kind of a book. Definitely a book that kind of makes you think, especially about religion. For me, anyway. You know, this is definitely a book that kind of definitely made you kind of question some things. Robin Hood by David B. Cole. This was actually, I think this was a novelization of the Russell Crowe Robin Hood movie. I love that movie, and the book is good. Like, I love them. That's a great movie. I mean, really good. Song in the Silence by Elizabeth Kerner. This one was really interesting, and it's actually part of a series. Unfortunately, I could never get my hands on the sequel. But it's about a girl who goes down to look for dragons. Really awesome book. Okay, like seriously, check it out. You won't be disappointed. The Dirt Eaters by Dennis Foon. Kind of a post-apocalyptic book. It's made. I think it's a trilogy. Once again, this is a case where I could never get my hands on the sequel. So definitely worth giving that one. Definitely worth giving it a shot. Tarzan by Edgar Rice Burroughs. I mean, do I really need to say anything? Firelight by Sophie Jordan. Another interesting take of dragons. You know, kind of a humanoid, dragons that turn into humans, kind of a thing. You know, I Am Number 4 by Pittacus Lore. Pretty good. I never read the second one, but the first one was pretty good. Movie kind of follows it along, really good. So, I mean, if you've watched the movie, you've almost read the book. They did make some changes, obviously, but the book was still good. Del Toro Quest by Emily Rhoda. This one is actually kind of interesting because when you read the whole book, it's actually like multiple like miniature books in one. It is chronological order, so there is an order to it. It's all one story, so you do need to read it in order. But it's a bunch of mini books in one book. So I think there's actually 2 volumes to it. I can't remember how many are in it, but definitely interesting. Got some interesting premises going on. In the Shadow of the Bear series by David Randall. I love this series. If this is, I think this is the series that I'm thinking of. It's about a girl who has the ability to turn into a bear, and there's a bunch of stuff that goes along with them. I'm trying not to do spoilers, but it was definitely a good series. You know, A Child Called It by Dave Pelzer. Made me cry. Not gonna lie, made me cry. I read all 3 of them. I think Child Called It is definitely the best one of the 3, but it definitely made me cry. I remember reading that. I finished it. I went up and I hugged my mother and I thanked her for being, not this mother. Rune March by Joanne Harris. Norse mythology. It follows Norse mythology and it's really good. Midgard novels by Susan Crenard. This was hard for me because I liked the books, but at the same time, I think maybe the pacing was off, because I found myself having to force myself to continue reading, and I wanted to just put them down, you know, and it's like I wasn't too invested in the story to continue, you know what I mean? So it was really hard for me to read them. But I did enjoy the premise, so that's why I marked them down. Clash of Eagles by Alan Schmale. This one was really kind of boring, really kind of drags on. It's kind of a what-if scenario where the Roman Empire didn't fall when it did, and it sent legionaries to the Americas. You know, what could have happened there, kind of a deal. And it was really hard. I love the premise, but it drags. I'm afraid it drags, and it's very much one of those books where very heavy on descriptions. So, Eon, Dragoneye Reborn by Alison Goodman, and its sequel, Eona, The Last Dragoneye. Definitely interesting. Definitely interesting. You follow this girl, Eon, who, pretends to be a boy for the ceremony, and becomes like a host for a dragon spirit. So it's definitely worth a read. Really interesting. Kind of based on, I don't know like how based it is on Chinese mythology, but has a sort of a Chinese mythology feel to it. Troy by Adele Garris. This was really good. I loved this. Oh my god. It's kind of a more modern take on the Iliad. So you follow these two sisters, and through heartbreak and trials and whatnot, and it is, oh my god, the ending is just sad, and she does a really great job of making you feel for these characters. The Moon Riders by Teresa Tomlinson. Once again, the same thing as Troy. New, kind of a different take on the Iliad, except instead of, because Troy has magic and the gods in it, whereas the Moon Riders really kind of, it doesn't. It has magic of a sort, but it doesn't bring it doesn't have gods into it. And some of the more famous like stories surrounding the Iliad, it kind of shows a behind the scenes kind of a deal. So, a really, really interesting premise. Tanith by Cheryl Jordan. Oh, this one was sad. Well, I mean, it wasn't so much the story was sad, but I mean the ending of it really kind of made me sad a little bit. Basically, it's about this. I don't know, like what world it's in, if it's on our world or if it's like based on any historical accuracy or anything like that. But it's about the girl who lives in a village, and she's dark-haired, and apparently, she was adopted from another tribe, and she had lived with wolves as a little girl, and she had a connection with them, and there's a bunch of stuff that goes on about that. Really good, and it's really interesting that they portray wolves as noble species, because while they're not the monsters of stories, they're wild animals. So it's like, be cautious when you see them in the woods, please. I don't want any of you to be eaten. The Hunting of the Last Dragon by Cheryl Jordan. Kind of interesting, I would say. Kind of follows a boy whose family is killed by a dragon, and he goes on a hunting spree to try to find it, The Silver Sea by Julia Golding. Tragic. This one was a tragic story. It follows a daughter of a Norse chieftain and a, I don't know where from exactly, but basically an African thrall that had been captured in a raid. So it follows the two of them. And then Dingo by Charles DeLint. We don't have, you know what? I actually have manga and whatnot written down too, so we'll go ahead and stop here. But Dingo, really interesting. I originally read it because I was kind of interested in Aboriginal mythology at the time. I just wanted to see like what an author's take on it would be, and see if it didn't really go into any detail about Aborigine mythology. So hopefully that's the right word to use. But it wasn't a bad story. So definitely kind of interesting. So like I said, that's where I'm going to end this video. Went a little longer than I thought. I went too much into detail with some of these books and authors and whatnot. But definitely feel free to give some of these a try. And if you don't like them, then hopefully they inspire you to read something else. But do get out there, do try to read. And if any of you happen to know someone in Hollywood, feel free to read a book. And if you like it, be like, hey, TV show right here. This will be good. So definitely really interesting to hear what some of you guys have to say about some of these. And if you've read some of them, and if you have any suggestions. As always, like, comment, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff every other YouTube says. But I need to stop rambling. But anyway, like I said, I'm gonna leave that here today. You all just have a good day, and be nerdy, be happy, and give some of these books a try. So you all have a good one.